are 2 tiers, and Tier 1 offers a 10-year certification to employers in most of the state, and Tier 2 is for most of York and Cumberland counties. That offers 5-year certification to employers. Currently, the figures for payment of what is qualified as a quality job, or certified as a quality job, are based upon U.S. Department of Labor figures, which often lag by a couple of years. They're not terribly accurate. And so the department would like to see this simplified so that we would be using a percentage of up over and above of minimum wage. And so Tier 1 incomes would need to be 165% of minimum wage, which amounts to $25,740. Tier 2 would be 200% of minimum wage, $31,200. So that's sort of just makes it a lot simpler for businesses to figure out exactly, where they need to be in order to qualify and be certified. Moving on, the New Markets Tax Credit was passed last session and inadvertently followed federal law to qualify geographical descriptions based on the census. And the problem with the census data is that it's only taken every 10 years. So a community like Millinocket that might have a 23% unemployment rate could go 10 years in order to qualify for enhanced economic development aid. So we would like to change that and give the department more flexibility in designating areas that qualify for a New Market Tax Credit. And then we go on to this issue that we have. In 2007, the DECD was required to develop and submit to the governor and the legislature a plan for the comprehensive evaluation of state investments in economic development. And that came out as a result of OPEGA's 2006 performance audit of economic development programs in Maine, which is an interesting read if anybody wants to look at it. Never funded, and there was a mistake in the formula for funding where it was designated as 0.08%. It should have been 0.8%. So that study has never happened because there was never any money in the account to pay for the study. So we'd like to clear up that error while also changing the requirement from annual reporting to biannual. And I don't know if any of you remember last year, I was kind of the one that kept saying, I don't understand why we have all these reports every single year. So I think that we can all agree that assessing whether or not these programs are really effective and worth the money that we're spending on them in support staff, as well as some of these that amount to financial incentives, if we don't know whether they're actually doing the job or not. Some of these, we have a pretty good idea, but we have no data to back that up. And so we really would like to see a study done, and we've really wrestled with this a lot. And what we looked at is the only other study that is a big, significant study is the R&D study, which is done annually, and we spend $157,000 a year annually to have that study done. We did talk about combining the two and folding them into one study, but then we decided with some input from Senator Rector that it would be better to let the spotlight shine on R&D and then also on the economic development program separately. So what we would hope for would be to have the R&D study perhaps go to biannual as well and flip-flop it back and forth. So one year we would have the R&D investments, then the other year we would have the economic development investments studied, and we would have real data to support. So we feel like that's really important, and we'd love to see that happen. And then we move on to marketing of the state and the idea of the whole Maine brand. And what the commissioner would like to do is create an office of marketing within DECD that would gather information to coordinate all the marketing efforts by all state departments under one umbrella. So all of the departments in the state that have people who have marketing responsibilities would get together at DECD on a regular basis and workshop how they can coordinate their efforts and gather information on what they're doing, what their messaging is, how they're getting that message out, and then DECD will decide whether or not it would be feasible to put everything under one marketing office, or whether things are coordinated well enough. This is more of an information gathering thing, and so we've decided to sunset that after 2 years. So that would have a sunset of June 30th, 2014, unless we decide they report back and say, wow, this is great, this has just really been going well. There's actually been a lot of support just in reaching out to other departments. Other departments have been really, really enthusiastic about this idea and recognize the need for it. So we are hopeful that that's something that we will see a big benefit for, and we won't want to sunset it because it'll be so good, but the sunset's in there anyway. And then this next section is a little bit more complicated, sort of above my pay grade, as far as the transferability and assignability of tax credits, refunds, and reimbursements. Other states, like Massachusetts, permit financial institutions to loan money against future credits, refunds, and reimbursements, and this would permit, we would be allowing financial institutions within the state of Maine to do that. And again, it's something that's done in other states, even in Massachusetts. And then the last is that the Maine Tourism Commission was created several years ago, and interest in the Maine Tourism Commission has sort of been waning. The attendance at meetings has often been not even enough to maintain a quorum. And one of the things that the Commissioner and others in the department have recognized is that it's a lot of the same faces around the table at all the different tourism associations. And so while they're mandated to create a 5-year strategy to promote tourism, they feel that they can get the cooperation without having an official Maine Tourism Commission, just getting the feedback from the association and from members of the public. So that we would be repealing that section of the law that created the Maine Tourism Commission. And there's a small savings. It's only about $6,000, but just a little more efficient, and seems to be something that would be easily done. And then lastly, the Maine Rural Development Authority makes loans to certain businesses that are struggling in rural areas, and currently they're only allowed to do that if the business owns real estate. Well, there are a lot of service industries that don't own real estate to borrow against, so this would allow them to use equipment as collateral for loans. So a fairly simple one there. And I'm sure that the Commissioner can probably give you more details.
Thanks, Representative Volk. Sounds to me like you stole his thunder, though, and we'll call the Commissioner up and ask him to sort of walk through, I guess in collaboration with Natalie here, it sounds to me like what you've done, Representative Volk, is to outline the proposed amendment as you have presented it.
Hello.
Welcome, Commissioner.
I have to say Representative Volk did exactly what I was going to do, so thank you. She did a good job.
So perhaps what we